John and Sadie, thank you and welcome for sharing your story with us here at the Macedonian Canadian Historical Society, and we're particularly happy to be having you here and giving us an interview for the archives here at the Canadian Macedonian Place. So let's begin just very simply with you giving us your full name and where you were born.
Hello, it's nice to be here representing our family. My name is John Mitrov. My parents were born in Turcia. My dad's name was Diallo and my mother's name was Ristana. And my dad was born in August of 1893 and passed away in June of 1973. Ristana was the daughter of Tanaska and Risto Nanov, born in September of 1894 and passed away as a resident here at Canadian Macedonian Place in July of 1987. First son of Mitra was born in 1914 but passed away in 1919. Milka and Mitra Gardev of the village of Peshotnica were the parents of my wife, Catherine.
And we'll come back to your story about your wife. That's great that you mentioned. And Sadie, can you tell us about yourself?
Yes, I was born in Toronto, August 24 of 1926. And we lived in Toronto all our lives, and our parents, John gave you information about them, and I was married in 1947 to Chris Lewis, and we were married for 31 years and lived with my mother-in-law.
Okay, now Sadie, you and your brother were both born in Canada.
Yes, in
right?
Toronto, yes.
Yes, and did your parents tell you when they came to Canada? I mean, like, did they come were they born here or they were born in Turcia? How did they come to Canada? What was their story, just roughly?
Yeah, roughly. My father came first. He worked here for a few years and earned enough money to bring my mother over. And then they were here, and the 5 of us were born here in Toronto, yeah.
So your father came to Canada first, and that would have. Do you know why he came to Canada from Turcia?
Well, they had to earn money to bring her over. He wanted to bring her over. Many young Macedonian men did that. They came over, earned money, and then they brought their wives.
Now, my dad came over first in 1914 and brought my mother over in 1920. As a matter of fact, Nam Phillips was the agent in those times.
Yes, I was going to say, how did they come to Canada, your mother and your father? With a boat, or did they tell you? A plane?
Well, as far as we know, it was the boat. They came over on the boat. And after being here for a few years, began raising the family.
Did your parents tell you what language they spoke when they were in Turcia?
They spoke Macedonian.
Okay, and how about their parents? This would be your grandparents.
Well, I'm not too familiar with them, but I imagine, I'm sure, they were Macedonian.
And that's what they spoke?
That's right.
Did they tell you about their journey coming here to Canada?
I think that's a thing of the past.
Yes, okay. And how about when they did come here to Canada? What did they do in terms of your father and his, you mentioned he was here earlier, his occupation?
Yeah. Well, my father initially was sort of a butcher in one of the city abattoirs, cutting up meat, etc., and thereby earning enough money to bring over my mother in 1920. Originally, we were all members of St. Cyril and Methody Church on Trinity Street, and from there began our family.
Now we've got a wonderful picture here, an earlier picture. Can you tell us a little about this picture of your father and mother and siblings?
Yes, in that picture designates the first born, my eldest sister Faye, my sister Vi, and the baby, of course, was John. That was me.
Were all the children born in Canada?
Yes, all 5 of us were born in Toronto.
Uh-huh. And then later on we have another wonderful picture. It's includes everybody else. Can you tell us your siblings?
Yes, that was our complete family. Mom and Dad and my eldest sister Faye, my sister Vi, then John came along, and subsequently my sister Sadie, and then my youngest sister Helen.
And John, what is the actual day of birth for yourself?
I was born October the 13th, 1924.
Okay. And you're in the middle somewhere, right?
I am directly in the middle.
Okay, and in terms of your parents and that early life, what did they do?
Well, as I aforementioned, my dad worked in the city abattoir, eventually worked at General Steelwares on a press for quite a few years. And what else can I say?
And your mother, Sadie?
She stayed home and raised the family, 5 children, and we had a large house. May I say something about
Of course.
my parents? My mother was born in Târsia, and she was born when it was under Turkish rule. And she always told us she went to Bulgarian school and Bulgarian church. And when the Turks were driven out and the Greeks took over, she told us every Bulgarian school and every Bulgarian church was closed. She disliked the Greeks a lot. They had a school in Târsia, and she went to a few grades. She learned to read and write Bulgarian. She used to read the Macedonian Tribune cover to cover, used to write to her sisters in Europe, and Bulgarian always. And so I just want to make that clear, because my brother said we spoke Macedonian. All of us in the villages, I wasn't there, but all the villages, some of them didn't have schools, but they spoke, I don't know whether you would call it a dialect of Bulgarian, but they always said they spoke Macedonian.
And there was the schools were not Macedonian, right?
No, my mother always said the Greeks closed every Bulgarian school and every Bulgarian church. We had a lady from our village, Gabrish, and she was the first Bulgarian teacher in Gabrish, and she has passed away since then. But she was very proud, and that's what she always said. So I just want to make that clear, because most of the villagers, the small villages, always said they were Macedonian, or they claimed, but many of them said they spoke Macedonian. But my mother said that she learned to read and write it. She felt the language was Bulgarian. So I just want to make that clear.
Okay. And do you know why they closed the schools? The Greeks?
Well, because the Greeks claimed there was no such a thing as Macedonia. All these villages, the first people that came to Toronto, a lot of them were from Grska Macedonia, from the villages, and when the Turks, under Turkish rule, my mother was born. So, they were driven out and the Greeks took over. And they claimed there was no Macedonia until just recently. No, that's what they claimed. And that's why everything was closed. And at a much later date, every Macedonian or Bulgarian name, streets, villages, from the Bulgarian or Macedonian name, they changed it to a Greek name. Like Gabrish was where my in-laws were born. It was changed to Gavro. Everything was changed to Greek names. So that's what the Greeks did.
Okay. And in terms of coming back to your parents being here in Canada, your father initially worked in several factories, the way you mentioned, and then eventually, I understand that he became a business person.
Eventually, we took over a butcher and grocery store on O'Connor Drive. And with my dad's background, he enjoyed his job as a butcher.
What was the name of the store? Have a name?
It was River Court Grocery and Meat Market.
And it was right on O'Connor
Right on O'Connor Drive between Pape Avenue and Donlands Avenue.
Okay. And who worked in the business?
Well, I joined with my mom and dad in the business as a grocery clerk, gradually into the butcher end of things. My sister Sadie also worked alongside, and we were there for a number of years, eventually selling out the butcher shop and the grocery end of things. And I went back to my trade of accounting.
Yes, tell us about your feelings about working in the butcher store. How did you feel about that? I understand there are some stories that Sadie wants to share.
When we took over the store, we had a partner, Nick Pandoff, and I was just a teenager, and I wanted to work in it. I don't know why, I just wanted to be. And John was an accountant, and he didn't want to come at first to work in the grocery store. He didn't come the first few years. So Nick and I worked in that store, and we built up that business. I loved doing it, a lot of hard work, but we built up that business. You know, it hadn't been doing much, and every day we increased the money that's coming into it. So I enjoyed that. Then my sister Vi worked with us for a while, and finally John came. I think after our partner left, John came, and my father came too, and he knew the butchering. He looked after the butcher part of it, and we were there for a number of years. But you know, East York was much smaller, and you know, you knew everybody there, and we lived there. It was quite an experience. I worked there till I was married.
Okay, and what at that time, what involvement did you have in the Macedonian community in terms of going to church?
Yes, yes. By that time, we had built St. George's Church, and I was in the choir. We went every Sunday. My parents were very active, both at St. Cyril at Trinity Street, St. Cyril and Methody, and at St. George. And my dad was Petrup, you know, I don't know the proper English name. And we went every Sunday. I was in the choir for years. And they had Sunday schools. Our children went there too. You know, we were active in the church community for many, many years.
Now, you mentioned St. Cyril as well, that
At
your
Trinity
parents were
Street.
also very involved.
Yes.
And how did the community, what was the community like then? At what time was this?
Yes, I can't remember exactly
Beginning
what
of-
year it was, but there were very few Macedonians then. You know, we all lived, many of us lived in what we called Cabbage Town. Everybody knew each other. They dropped in, see each other, visit. You know, it was a nice community.
And that was around?
Where St. George's Church and St. Cyril is now,
Right.
in that Regent Park area. That was
Regent Park.
a nice area, nice streets. Many Macedonians lived there. And a few Macedonians lived in the West End, the people from Željevo. We called them West Enders. But we all went to St. Cyril and Methody at Trinity. And then there was a problem, and we split and built St. George. And
Was
then-
there a reason that split occurred, or?
I don't know the exact reason. There was a
Okay.
problem, and but anyway, and then we went to St. George's and we worked, and we're very active. My parents and all the family, very active
In the
at
St.
St. George's right till now. We're in 74 years we've been there.
Do you remember your parents were one of the first to get?
They were founders.
Founders.
Oh, yeah.
Who else was? Who were some other families that were prominent founders? Would you say?
Okay, and you probably know them, the Bito family.
Yes.
Uncle Nick and Teta Vana were founders. Tetko Naso and Teta Sveta, which is Steve and Chris Stavros' parents, they were founders. There was Rallis, Teta Tanasa, and Tetko Pasco, they were founders. And my parents were. there were many. I can't. They're also related to me. That's why I remember them so well.
So
But
most of them were from Tercier, Gabrish.
Gabrish, a lot of them were from Gabrish, and they
Okay.
all worked hard. Like even Uncle Nick Bittolf, the father, he was in the choir with us. We had a big choir. It was a wonderful, wonderful years of my life, you know, when we were there.
Can you tell us some of the activities that occurred?
Oh, we had luncheons always. We called them banquets, dances, New Year's Eve dance. We never went to a hotel. We had it at our church hall, had a live band. And bowling, we did bowling. And name days, we were in touch with everybody. Everybody knew each other, friends. There were many couples. You don't have to put this in, but there were about 20 couples. There was the Kelly family, I don't know if you know them, the Kelly family, the Bidoffs, the Stavros. There were so many of us, and happy couples. You know, we all got married there. Our children were born there. All were baptized there. It was the best time of our life. I really feel bad that my children haven't enjoyed that, you know. But that was very, very nice. And we were very active at the church, bazaars, everything. We had tea parties. Very, very good social life and good Macedonian community. And at that time, most of us my age married Macedonian boys, or they married Macedonian girls, because everybody knew each other. And, you know, now it's a little different, you know. But it was wonderful, wonderful years. I'll never forget them.
And in terms of your activities, were mostly related with the church?
Yes, our whole social life was with the church.
And your parents, how did they?
Oh, they were interested and involved in everything. We had the ladies section. My mother worked for it. My dad was a P-troop at the church for many, many years until he was able to look after the candles. They used to go through the week and help clean or do whatever they could. Very active in the church, you know. Yeah, that's the way it was.
And do you have anything to add in terms of your recollection in those years when your parents were very involved at St. George's?
Well, they were involved. I was involved, as a matter of fact, doing the books for the church for a period of 30, 35 years, and only packed it in at the end of March of 2013. In the meantime, my background for accounting, I first started out with Taylor Soaps and Perfumes down on Front Street. Believe it or not, at $10 a week. I worked myself up to $19 a week after a period of a few years. Transferred over to Coulter Copper and Brass, and started there at $25 a week, and worked there for a few years, and subsequently with my brother-in-law Chris Lewis and Russ Horner, who was married to my eldest sister Faye, got into the car business. And I thought it was an opportunity for myself to get into accounting in the car business. And eventually I graduated from the in-law brothers, my brother-in-law's, Marwood Motors, to Paul Willison Chrysler dealership, where I served a term of 25 years or so as secretary-treasurer. And
I see we have a photo of you
yes, that was
at your post
my
there
position
as secretary-treasurer.
Secretary-treasurer. I was there for a period of 25 years, and finally retired in 1998. And I've been in that retirement stage ever since.
Okay.
Enjoying
Congratulations.
life.
Congratulations. And John and Sadie, as we talked about your parents and their involvement, their great involvement in the Macedonian community at that time, what do you think motivated them to work so hard for the community, for the
they were
church?
dedicated Macedonians, you know, they were. And I just want to tell you one thing. They were at the church every Sunday and worked. And my brother has been an accountant at the church. I think it's even more than 35 years. after my parents died. And I said once at his anniversary that I was so happy that he took over where my father left off.
That's wonderful. He continued the legacy
Yeah.
of helping in the Macedonian
Very,
community. Yes. And if your parents were here, Sadie and John, what do you think they would advise our future generations? We have lots of upcoming new Macedonian kids growing up here. Things have changed. What do you think made them successful and they would like to share with the young people in terms of their future? What do you think they would advise them?
Well, for the one thing, they were dedicated to whatever they were doing, and the community grew larger and larger, and I think came to a situation where the churches kind of split, from originally St. Cyril and Methody on Trinity Avenue, and along came St. George's Church, and I think the Macedonian community sort of was divided. And probably even more so since is it St. Clement's that's
Yes.
come into the picture.
Well, I think things have changed drastically in Canada. We're in Canada now.
Yes.
Our children, we all married Macedonians, my age group. There were so many of us. Now, my grandchildren are married to different nationalities, and I would say more than 50% of our young people have married into different nationalities. And it makes a difference to coming to church and being as active as we were. And I don't know what the future will hold.
And in terms of the Macedonian ethics and the Macedonian message that you think is still important for the new generations?
I preach a lot. I don't know whether they listen, but I preach all the time. My children, when they were younger, my children always came with my husband and my mother-in-law. I lived with my mother-in-law. We went to church every Sunday. Now, my grandchildren come. They've been married in my church. They've christened their children in my church, but they're not active members, I'd say. But I'm hoping. But they still consider it their church, St. George's Church. But as most people now, it's not just our church. There's many churches now that are lacking in attendance. Plus, there's many more Macedonian churches now than there was at that time, and one in every area. We once invited a minister, a Canadian minister. He had gone to a new church, and he had built it up, and we wanted to know how he did it so we could bring our young people. And one thing he asked about, do we have social events? We have many social events at our church. And then he said, but where do your parishioners live? Mississauga, Scarborough, Markham. He says, that's your biggest problem. He says, all my parishioners walk to church. He says they'll go to the closest church, and that will cause a problem. And that's exactly what's happened in Toronto. And there's many churches now in every area, and people go, I think, to the closest church. Yeah.
But most certainly, at the time, your parents had made a great contribution to the Macedonian community, and you must be very proud.
Oh, very, very. And name days, I remember my mother and Mrs. Stoichev, Boris Stoichev was active here, Dr. Boris Stoichev. His mother and my mother at name days used to go from the ladies section, the Ženskata sekcija, go to the name days, to the homes, and give them a card, and they would walk, this is many, and they would be given a quarter, that's what the way it was. We paid our church at St. George's with quarters and dollars, not like now. So anyway, they were very dedicated and very, it was a good time of our life,
Thank you, John. We're just going to continue our interview now with some more specific questions about yourself. Tell us again about where you were born and your full name.
Hi, my name is originally was Pondo. We upgraded it to the Canadian version of John, and I was born in October the 13th, turned out to be a lucky number, in 1924. And my program was going to Park School as the public school. Graduated from there.
When you went to the public school, John, do you remember as a little kindergarten or grade 1 boy what language you spoke at home?
Well, I think if I recall, I attended what we call Macedonian Bulgarian school.
Yes.
And they had school on a Saturday afternoon, which was also a day at the movies. So we took advantage of that on several occasions and attended the movies rather than going to the Macedonian Bulgarian school.
And what church was that?
That was St. Cyril and Methody on Trinity Avenue.
When you were little.
Yes.
And at home, what language did you speak with your mom and your parents?
With mom and dad, we spoke our Macedonian language.
And did you speak English when you started grade 1?
Well, between my sisters and myself, our communication was greatly or mostly in English. And we met with Kathy, my wife Kathy. They used to have the St. Cyril's Bowling League, and I sort of attended their bowling nights and got acquainted with Kathy, and subsequently we took our walks up and down Parliament Street, visiting John's Grill or Caulfield's milkshakes,
Yes.
etc. And I attended Park School. After the 6th grade, we went on to Dufferin Commercial. As a matter of fact, I spent 1 year at Jarvis Collegiate, which didn't turn out to be my cup of tea, you might say. So I spent the next couple of years at Dufferin Commercial, where I acquired my accounting background. Now, going back to meeting with my wife, Kathy,
Yes.
like I said, from bowling, we started dating, went to Jack Evans, who used to play at the Seabreeze Sunnyside. And we continued our relationship until such time as I proposed to her.
And we have a lovely picture here with, looks like when you, at that period of time when you were dating.
Yes, and that was memorable, of course. And what else have I got here? Yeah. Well, like I said, we met at the Sunday night socials at Sunday night evenings at St. Cyril's Hall. She belonged to St. Cyril's, I belonged to St. George's, but we sort of consolidated there and eventually married.
How did your parents feel about you both being married?
Well, the idea that we were both Macedonian background was acceptable all the way. And with Kathy and myself, we have raised 4 children.
Yes, and before the children, we have a beautiful picture of your wedding, correct?
Correct.
Yes, and tell us about that beautiful day.
Well, that was a day to remember, and turned out to be a great success. It was kind of consolidating St. Cyril's Church and St. George's Church. It was kind of a meeting of both churches, and we took into account the fact that we're basically Macedonian, and we thought then it's a good idea that we married together and raised what we think was a great family.
And where did you get married? Which church?
We got married at St. George's Church.
Okay. And we have another beautiful picture here.
Yes, my wife Kathy came from the old country. Her parents brought her over.
Tell us about her story. What village did her parents and her come from?
Oh, this is like double talk. It's Pisochnica.
Yes? Close to Târsia?
Well, I don't know. Born in Toronto myself, I'm not familiar with the localities of both cities. Anyways, our firstborn was in March 1953. I think I did mention the fact that our date of marriage was September the 25th of 1949. And our first child was our son Vancho. We call him John. His date of birth was March 31st in 1953. Secondly, our son Ted, Danny, surname, born August the 7th in 1954. And Christine, born August the 7th in 1956. And finally, our youngest, Diane, was born June the 12th in 1963. Now, with our son Vancho, he married a girl originally from Denmark by the name of Anna. Her parents, her dad was a minister in the Danish church. And they have born with two children, Yuri and Leah. And our son Ted, who married Martha on September the 17th of 1983, came along with two daughters, Morgan and Tasha. And Christine, born on August the 7th of 1956, had her second marriage with Curtis, who and currently reside in California. And Christine comes up on numerous occasions to visit us, her mother and myself and the family. Her husband Curtis is a pilot, flies for a woman that multi-rich, you might say. Her family have the rights decaffeinated in the U.S.
And John, if I
Yes.
can just interject a little bit,
Yeah.
I know that you were very busy with your family at, raising a young family, and I also know that you continue to be involved in, with the Macedonian community, and your wife also has had a great involvement and reputation of being involved right here in the Canadian Macedonian Place. Can you tell us about her involvement?
Yes, just to some degree, but she was involved in when the Macedonian community here. I don't know what.
Did she volunteer?
She was a volunteer.
Very valued volunteer.
Yes. And I think for a short period of time, my mother was living here at the community center.
Canadian Macedonian Place as well?
Canadian Macedonian Place, right.
What was your wife's involvement? Fundraising?
Fundraising, whatever she could do to help the community. Yeah, much more so than I.
But you were also
I was
continued to
involved
be
more
involved
with the church, and
in the church.
she was, as well as the church, she was in the Canadian Macedonian Place.
helping with the ladies' activities and fundraising,
Exactly.
making pitis, bureci, is that what she did?
She did her service here.
I understand she did a really, really hard job and was
Good.
very valued.
Good job.
And I understand with your wife's involvement here, she became a member of the Daughters of Macedonia.
That's correct. Now, beyond that, I don't know anything more about.
Yes, and I know that you and like you said, your wife were members of Macedonian groups and clubs, like the bowling club.
The bowling club.
And where did you do the bowling?
Where was that? Downtown, I guess. One of the bowling alleys downtown.
Okay, at St. Cyril, right? The church.
It was St. Cyril's, yeah, and it's members of St. George's. When it came to social activities, there was no animosity there, and everybody got along really well.
And we have some pictures here of your involvement in activities. Can you tell us?
Well, we had, what did they
Looks
call
like a hockey club.
Well, I think it was one of those,
Soccer?
well, it was the soccer team, but we also had the, what did they call it, like a get-together with
A reunion?
a reunion kind
Okay.
of thing at one of the clubs and the bowling league, etc. I sort of lost for.
And this is one of them? One of your reunions?
Yeah, that was one of the reunions at Fantasy Farms.
Right.
Horse-drawn carriage that was enjoyed, I'm sure, by everybody.
Right. And I know you had an interesting T-shirt to share.
Yes, I was a member of the Macedonian soccer team, which we were in competition, St. George's Church and St. Cyril's Church. We enjoyed the activities, especially when both teams met.
And you had a lot of contact with Macedonian, with other Macedonians when you through your involvement with St. George's.
Yes, between both churches and their Sunday night socials. The one at St. Cyril's was the original one, and we were quite active in that. And of course, when St. George's Church came along and we had our Sunday night socials, was, I guess you might say, a meeting place
For everybody.
for everybody.
Who were some of the families that were always there?
Well, as my sister Sadie mentioned, the Bidoffs, the Stavros, Mitroffs,
Kelly's.
Kellys, yeah.
Georges, Markovs,
Who else?
Markovs, the Georges.
Oh, yeah, the Georges, Markovs. It was a kind of a joint venture.
There were lots of them.
Yeah.
I can remember.
Okay. And then continuing after your children were born and your professional life, I understand you're continue to help at the St. George's Church. Tell us about that.
Well, I continued my activities at St. George's Church to the full extent of
Which were?
doing the accounting, etc., and winding up the annual
Statements?
statement. And as I said, after about 35 years or so in the accounting for the church, at one of our annual meetings, I suggested that it was time for a replacement as I was getting on in years. And it came to, it was the last Sunday in March of 2013 when the president of the church came in the back room, and I suggested, Simeon, I offered my resignation like about 2 years ago at the annual meeting, and I think it's about time you got a replacement. And he said, well, what are your thoughts? Well, I says, this is the last Sunday in March of 2013. I says, how about right now? And I severed my direct services as the accountant for the church, but I'm still there in the background helping out when I can and wherever I can.
Great. And how about the Don Mills group of retirees? Tell us about your involvement with that group.
Well, our retirees, it seems like Fairview Mall is a meeting place on Tuesday mornings. Not only the men, but the ladies also congregate on that same morning. And we have developed a little group of what we call our poker club. And we meet weekly when possible, and we all take turns there. We have several participants from St. Cyril's and from St. George's, and including my son Ted, who participates. It's an enjoyable pastime.
And what motivated you, John, all these years to work so hard for the Macedonian community to be involved in the church?
Well, I think the money end of things, fundraising, our annual elimination draw, etc. We're very involved in that.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of yes, and so you mentioned that when you do meet on Tuesdays at Fairview Mall, it has become quite a gathering.
Very much so.
Yes. What are some activities that you plan together?
Used to do picnics, used to have a picnic group.
You had a picnic?
Oh, well, this goes back to several years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We had an annual picnic. I was very much involved in that with Chris Stavro and Al Lacco, Joe Markoff. And we had an annual picnic where we had attendance of maybe anywhere up to 100 people. Mm-hmm. We had our own barbecue set up there at one of the local parks. But as things went on and everybody got a little older, it's a thing of the past currently.
Christmas breakfast every year at the restaurant on Don Mills. We always had breakfast for Christmas brunch.
We did.
Anthony's.
Okay. Is the group still going on, John?
This group we have at Fairview Mall is a continuation, but going back a few years, once a week on a Tuesday morning, we congregated at Woodbine Casino.
Okay.
We went there on a Tuesday morning. We had breakfast together as a group, and then sort of split up and went our own way in a little gambling fiasco.
Okay.
Sometimes successful.
What about the picnics in Florida?
Florida picnics, I hear.
Florida picnics, where, well, we haven't been there for a number of years, my wife being in their situation as it is today. But the picnics, I understand now, are greater than ever. January, February was the meeting place for Macedonians that visited the Florida area around Fort Lauderdale.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and I see a lovely picture here with you and your wife. Do you see it?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, is that one of
I brought that, John.
Yeah, was that one of our anniversary pictures?
Yeah, or a wedding, I forget.
Yeah.
Did you have a special anniversary just recently?
I'll tell you, we've had several celebrations. Our 50th anniversary, which a great outing, was in 1999. That was the 50th.
Our 60th anniversary in 2009 was at the Donalda Club, where we had a terrific turnout. And more recently, in 2014, was our 65th anniversary, and it was more of a family affair.
When you mentioned your trips to Florida, your wife accompanied you.
In those days, we were together.
And how long did you stay usually?
Well, after retirement, we used to stay at least two months.
Okay, great. Well, it looks like we've covered a lot of topics. Is there anything that you would like to mention? I know that you've written a little bit of information there that maybe we haven't said.
Well, going way back, I was raised in that part of the city, what we called Cabbage Town. I attended Park School to grade 6, and then took a shot at Jarvis Collegiate, which didn't turn out to be my cup of tea.
You mentioned that. Tell us why not.
Well, I think commercial, the accounting was more up my alley, my field, and I seemed to catch on to the accounting end of things. And I got my first job through the school at a terrific salary of $10 per week. Graduated there at Taylor Soaps up to $19 a week.
And when was that, John? You must have been quite young.
Quite young, yeah.
19...
Before you were married.
19 in the 40s.
In the 40s.
Early 40s.
So that was good pay for that time.
I didn't think so. Anyways, I graduated from Taylor Soaps at $19 a week and started at Coulter Copper and Brass for $25 a week. That was an improvement. And subsequently, I got into the grocery business with my dad and my sister Sadie. And after a few years of that, went back into accounting. And I made connections with Paul Willison Chrysler, where I was there for at least 25 years and acquired the title of Secretary-Treasurer, and eventually became partner in the business.
Congratulations, and that was a lot of hard work on your part, John, and you've definitely had a lot of success. And just before we end the interview, I know that you're the only boy and you have 4 or 5 sisters? 3 sisters?
4.
4 sisters,
4
and you
sisters.
being the only boy. I know we have a nice picture there with everybody together.
Right.
How was it being the only boy in a Macedonian family full of girls?
Spoiled.
Well, yeah, my sister Sadie just interrupted and said she thinks I was spoiled. But I think otherwise.
Yes, I think you can maybe share that with our younger listeners and viewers of the new generations of Macedonians coming up. What would you advise them in terms of having a successful, happy life here in Canada?
Well, I think the Macedonian community, for one thing, was togetherness. And unfortunately, when the churches sort of separated, it did more harm than good, I would say. But unfortunately, we're both carrying on. And I served my service at the St. George's Church as an ongoing accounting, and I still attend occasionally. It's difficult. is difficult sometimes because of my wife's situation, because we do have a live-in caregiver, but I attend church if and when possible.
Right. And you're continuing, and with your children, you mentioned many wonderful grandchildren, and you're continuing to enjoy seeing your
Yes.
family grow.
It's a great family togetherness, and I think that's the way it should be.
And on behalf of all of us here at Canadian Macedonian Historical Society, we'd like to thank you, John, for giving us this opportunity to hear your story, and I'm sure we'll have lots of viewers who have the opportunity to see it.
Well, I thank you for the opportunity and all the success. My mother spent time here, as a matter of fact.
At Canadian Macedonian
Canadian
Place.
Macedonian Place, yes.
And we still have lots of people here. What would you suggest to some of the people wondering whether their parents should come here to live in their elderly years?
I think it's a great place, a great situation, and I think going back to the older generation, they're more inclined to have a place like this. The younger generation, I think, are a little more self-supporting, and anyways, in the long run, Canadian Macedonian Place is a great community situation.
And your mother enjoyed being here?
Very much so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, Sadie, it's great to have you join us again, and we can begin by you giving us just your full name, maybe your maiden name, and then your married name, and again telling us where you're from, and I know we have a great story coming up.
Okay. My name is Sadie Cvetanka Lewis, and I was born in Toronto, August 24 of 1926, and had 3 sisters and a brother, and we all grew up together in what was called Cabbagetown. And we had a good childhood, Our parents were poor but happy.
And you went to school.
I went
with
to Park School too, which is now known as Mandela, the Nelson Mandela School. Went there to school, and I remember going to St. Cyril at Trinity Street. I remember there, going there, and they did have Bulgarian school. My brother and I went a few times, but we didn't go often. But my 2 older sisters were able to read and write Bulgarian, but my brother and I really didn't, yeah.
And then as you grew up, Sadie, I know that you met your husband. Can you tell us a little bit about
Yes.
that?
We had moved up to East York, and my dad had opened this little grocery store, River Court Grocery, and I worked there for quite a few years until I was married. And my mother-in-law and her one daughter lived close by, and just a block or so away, and I knew them through the church. I didn't know my husband that well. He was in the Air Force for a few years. I actually got to know him when he came home from the Air Force. And I grew up in East York, mostly, as a teenager, and we had just built our church, and I was in the church choir, and we had many friends, and it was a wonderful time of our life, lots of, we knew everybody, and we met our husbands there, all of us, and had good times there.
So these were Macedonian families that
Yes,
you're referring to?
yes.
What villages would they be from?
Well, we were from Târsia, and Gabrish. There were a lot of people from Gabrish there, because a lot of them are related to my husband. And from Drenovini, from where else? From everywhere. I can't even think of where, but they were mostly Gabrisheni. But there was from many villages, but most of them were from Grska Macedonia. Yeah. And but everybody knew each other because the community was small. We all knew each other. Yeah.
And then tell us how you met your husband.
Well, when he came home from the Air Force, his sister Victoria, Vicky, was we were in the choir together, and after church every Sunday, one of the girls, this Olga Kelly, her father would give her the car, and she would take us out. We would go to the museum or the art gallery, and I was friends with Vicky, and we used to get together. And then she said we had moved to East York, and we were just up the same street that they lived at the corner. And she said, "Oh, my brother's coming home from the Air Force." She says, "Why don't you come?" They all went to the train station, the Bidoffs, the Stavros. I says, "There'll be too many there." I says, "When you come back home, I'll drop in and see him." So I went there and I saw him, and he was so handsome. Coming home from the Air Force, he was in such good shape. And I met him then, and I knew the family. But anyway, I was living up the street, and I was working at Rivercourt. So he'd often pass by, and we would talk, but we didn't start dating for a while. But eventually we did. And we went out, and we always went out. We had so many relatives. Like all these families were first cousins. My husband had so many first cousins. And we'd go out with, like John had a brother, Jim, and Helen. We were very close with them. We used to go out with them, and we had our
This is
children. John Bidoff's brother,
Yes.
had a brother, Jim, an older brother, but he was more my husband's age, so we were very close. And we used to go out with them, and at the church, functions, all kinds, social functions, bowling, name days. So we had a good time when we were young and growing up. And anyway, he eventually started coming up to see me at the house. We'd go out together, and we dated for a few months, and then we got married. But I'll tell you something old-fashioned. He said, he said, "My mother lives with me." And he says, after I get married, he says, she has to live with me. He was the only son, and he had three sisters. And so I said, "That's all right." So we got engaged and got married.
And this is a beautiful picture of your
That's our engagement picture, yes.
That's right. And then as you married your husband, give us his full name.
Well, he was known Chris Lewis. No, actually, he went under Anastasov and Tenekev. They had so many names, but when he was in the Air Force, he changed it legally to Lewis. Because I'll tell you why later. His father had a grocery store, Lewis Marketeria or Market, and everybody called him Mr. Lewis. So as the children were born, they went to school. They were signed up as Lewis, Victoria Lewis, Chris Lewis, and all their lives they went with that. But he used Anastasov because his father was Anastas, and my mother-in-law, and when she came over, used Anastasov. And Tenekev was a nickname, and they only used it here. My mother-in-law used to tell me the story. Dedo Staso, his father, had only daughters, and when he had Lambro, my father-in-law, he used to take them everywhere from village to village, and everybody used to say, "Oh, Staso go village Tenekev." And he said somehow he got that name Tenekev. And even on his tombstone, it's marked Lambro Anastasov Tenekev, because everybody knew him. But the children and my husband and the sisters never used that name. They used Lewis.
And Teneke in Macedonian means?
Well, it's a teneke means a tin can,
Yes.
and he says, "Look at Govlechka," he brings them everywhere.
Like with him, like
Yeah,
one
yeah.
would bring a tin can.
Yeah.
Yes, interesting story.
Yeah. And he had sisters. He had Tita Vana, who's the Bitov mother, Tita Tsveta, who's the Stavro mother. There was another Tita, Lexa Mihailov, but they didn't come to the churches. They were, they went to the club. I don't know if you know that there was a club at that time.
What's
She wasn't,
called club?
And then we had Tita Stefka Paul, Chris Paul.
Yes.
She was a sister, and Tita Tanasa Rallis, who's still around, yeah. And so he had all these sisters,
And they were all from?
Gabdish. They were all born in Gabdish, yeah.
And he came. Tell us the story about your father-in-law. Very
Okay.
interesting.
Yeah, it is. He came over when he was 12, and with his father, Dedo Staso, And I don't know too much about him, but my niece found out that 3 years later he opened this butcher and grocery store at Sackville and Queen, and he called it Lewis Market. And
he was only a
very young man.
15-year-old man? A young
He
man,
was
15-year-old?
far advanced for his age. He was a very, very smart, intelligent man. Anyway, he opened that. He had a partner. His name was Kalle Christoph. I'm not sure whether he was a partner or he just worked with them. And they worked together, and they lived in the same building. My mother-in-law with her 4 children lived on one floor, and the Kellys lived on the other floor, and they had quite a few children. And but my oldest sister Mary and the Bob Kelly were like brother and sister. So they opened this store. Now I'm not sure exactly what's right. This is only what I hear from my mother-in-law. Eventually, my father-in-law came, Uncle Nick Bittove came over from the old country. I don't know whether my father-in-law brought him. I think he came on his own. He worked with my father-in-law. He taught him the business, and he eventually opened a grocery and butcher shop on Queen Street called Lewis Marketeria, the same as my father-in-law. And then Tetko Naso came, who's a Rallis. He came over. He worked with my father-in-law, Stavro. He worked with my father-in-law. He opened a store further along on Queen Street, and my father taught him, my father-in-law. And every opening day they would invite my father-in-law to come for kusmet, like to open the till. Then he had 2 other men. One was a half-brother, and the other was a stepbrother. But anyway, he brought them over. Jimmy Karstovsky, they lived with my mother-in-law and father-in-law. And Jimmy Fotev, they lived with her, and they learned the business, and eventually they opened a store each, also Lewis Market. And we had an uncle, my father-in-law had an uncle, Dedo Tolo Kizov, and he had a butcher shop on Parliament. So there were 5 or 6 Lewis Markets. Talk about chain stores. There wasn't any such thing, and at that time there was. And he had taught them all this. He was so intelligent, so well liked by the community, and he was a family man, very much so. So he was always doing good, and he was a past president of St. Cyril and Methody when it was at Trinity. He was also very active in the Macedonian Patriotic Organization, very active. When our parents came here, they thought they would uslobodi Macedonia. They thought they might go back. Yeah, they were working for a free and independent Macedonia. And we all, at that time, all of them belonged to NPO. They really thought they would get it. When different people came from Europe, they stayed with my in-laws, with my father-in-law and mother-in-law. Shkatrov was one, Asen Avramov, like they were very Macedonian patriots. And they always stayed with my father-in-law and mother-in-law. He was very committed to that. But they thought they might go back. They thought if they could free Macedonia. And I used to get the Tribune, and there were always letters. I have since given them to a friend. They always had letters. The Macedonian Tribune had an office in Indianapolis, and they always wrote letters to senators in the States, to senators, to Washington, asking to help them free Macedonia. Never got, they always would get a very polite letter back, but they never did anything about it. And obviously they wouldn't, because the United States and Britain were the ones that divided Macedonia. But anyway, he was very active. But he was sick. He had a sickness. Some say he had a tumor like in his head. He was very sick. And he bought this house in East York, which was Teta Vana, and Teta Sveta used to walk up from Queen Street to see him, their brother. They really loved him dearly, and he was also good to them. And eventually he passed away, and my mother-in-law was left with 4 children. There's a picture of her there at the cemetery with the 4 children, and the youngest was 5. Yeah, I didn't know him, but I wish I had. Yeah.
So your mother-in-law, I hear, was also has a very interesting story and was a very special lady. Can you tell us about her, because you were living
we
with her
lived
for
together,
quite a while?
and she was a sister-in-law, like to all these aunts, Bitol, Stavros, Paul, like Stefka Paul and Arelis, but they liked her and they used to visit us often, so I got to know all of them very well. We were very close with the Tito Bidoffs. They lived a few blocks away from us in East York, and Titavana used to take John's children and walk over, and I'd say, Titavana, you must smell the pita when we make pita, you know. She'd come and they'd have lunch with the children. We were very close, but then, you know, my husband died young, and everybody moved away and became different. Mm-hmm. But we lived in East York. I raised all the children there. We had, you know, and my husband died at 55. He was 55, which was 36 years ago. So it's been a long time, you know. But anyway.
And you were, your husband continued to be involved as well?
Oh yes,
In the Macedonian community?
he
Tell
was
us
always
about
on
that.
the church board, always. And we used to go to all the conventions, you know, the NPO conventions. He used to look forward to it. And we'd go there, you know, we knew many Macedonians from the States, from Detroit, from everywhere. And we would go to all the conventions. He really enjoyed that. And we would sing Macedonian songs, and, you know, it was nice, a nice time of our life, yeah.
So he continued to be involved?
Oh, yes, and at our church too, yeah.
Which is
St.
St.
George,
George's.
yeah. Oh,
Yes. And I know you have some great stories, lots of stories, but I know you mentioned about your mother-in-law, some interesting stories about how special she was.
Yeah, she was one of a kind, you know. She was very quiet, very soft-spoken. But I think because she had to live through the sickness with her husband, and she, you know, lost him, and she had, you know, she was a strong woman, and everybody liked her. Babalatsa, everybody liked her, and they used to come and visit her. And when they built this place, she wanted to be the first lady, and she was, you know, she wanted to be. She was the first lady to drive a car. Like, that's unusual.
And when did she get her license?
Well, I don't know when she actually got it, but all the years I was married, I would renew her license till she was 82, I think it was. There were at least 80. And when I was learning to drive, you had to have someone with you that had a license, and she used to come with me, even though she didn't drive much. But she always, you know, she used to preach to all the ladies, learn to drive. You never know when you're going to need it. You know, in Macedonian, she'd speak to them. And she'd learn, everybody she talked to, I had one sister that didn't drive, and she'd always say, did you drive yet? She always...
Kako mu kaže na naše?
Promoted.
Yeah.
She'd say to her, da se naučite kar da terate. We used to say car, you know.
Ta.
And she'd say, ne znajte koga ke vi treba. And, you know, she says, jaska pomina to, you know. So anyway, she encouraged so many women to learn to drive. She really was good that way. And you know, and as I say, she wanted to be the first person here. And she had a brother, Giro Zalumov. I don't know if you know the Zalumov family. And Vujca and Vujna, his wife, and my mother-in-law, they had two brothers in Sofia in Bulgaria. Like, you know, when a lot of Macedonians left Macedonia, like some came here, some to Australia, some to everywhere. And these two brothers of hers went to Sofia in Bulgaria, and they went to see them. I'm so glad Chris, my husband, sent her to see their brothers with her brother that lived here. And so she went there and she visited them, and so that was kind of nice. And she was, we moved out of East York, we moved up to Steeles and Bayview, and there weren't any Macedonians up there, but she became friends with an Italian woman. Neither one could speak English. They used to go for a walk every day. They used to come, and I used to drive them. There was a church on Young Street, Young and Steeles. They had a little community there. They had one afternoon a week. I used to drive them there. The two of them went there, And then they used to come home with a bus. So she was always wanting to be busy or doing things. And she was a family person, like she used to look after the children and
And what language did you speak to her?
only Macedonian. Yeah.
Samo makedonski,
Yeah, Samo Makedonski. My first child, Lillian, didn't know a word of English when she went to school. We only spoke Macedonian at home. And then once they go to school. And then the other children, we always spoke, and my mother-in-law spoke to them, but they did speak Macedonian for a while, broken. But eventually it turned to English. But they understood it, and they still understand it, but they don't speak it at all. So.
And then with Baba Latza, right? She stayed here at Canadian Macedonian Place.
Yes, she was here a couple of years, I think, and her daughter Vicky and I were going to come to see her that night. It was raining, February. It was raining, and I had my grandchildren for supper. So Vicky, I says, just wait 20 minutes. I'll feed them, and we'll go. And by the time we left, we got a call from Faith Pellier. You know Pellier, Faith. She called us and she said, your mother, we took her to the hospital and we rushed down, but she had passed away. She was sitting in the lobby and she just keeled over. Yeah.
And at that time she was about 80, 82?
I think she was 82.
Yeah.
See, my husband had died 3 years previous and she never got over it. He was an only son, and I really think she died of heartbreak.
Right.
It was sad.
Right, very sad. And in terms of, you spoke a lot about the involvement and your happy memories with the Macedonian community.
Our church, like our whole social life was there. I was a teenager. I was in the choir for years. And then, as I say, there was a bunch of us girls used to go out every Sunday after church. But we had luncheons, we had banquets, we had New Year's Eve. We went every year. We wore gowns. We had a live orchestra. My husband was still around. And there were
you
lots.
mentioned bands playing live?
Yes, live. There was a Macedonian man, Jack Evans.
Yes.
He used to come and play and then we had another Kimo. He used to play the clarinet and one of them on drums, and we always had an orchestra live. So we always did horos. Everybody liked horos, and we had dances there for years. And bowling we used to go, and name days. Some nights we'd go to 3 or 4 name days all in one night. When I had a name day, my mother-in-law and I, we were in East York. Everything was homemade, vifki.
Tell us when your name day is.
Well, my husband's was December, the old calendar, Christmas, January the 6th, I think, Bishop, yeah. So everything was homemade, buns, bread, cabbage rolls.
And his name was?
Cristo, yeah. And all these aunts and uncles would go to church, and they would all come to our place for lunch, like the Bitos and Stavros and all of them. And there was another uncle, Dedonumo, and all them. They all would come to our place for lunch. And then in the evening, all our friends, all the young people would come, and they'd stay late, 1 o'clock, Yeah, and I had a lot of people, up to 100 people come for a name day. It was wonderful. It's too bad we lost that tradition, but that was really, really nice. And we used to bowl together, and we used to go to Florida, and I have pictures of us in Florida. You go to Florida to get away, and you have pictures with all your friends from here, at a nightclub or something. Yeah, you still want your friends. No, we had a very good, happy life, like many, many young couples our age group. And Vasa Evans and Ted Evans and her sister-in-law Mary Evans, and when Vasa came over, she was beautiful always, but when she came over, we were still at Trinity, at St. Cyril, and her husband Ted used to dance around that hall, and I used to look at her. She looked like a movie star. She was so beautiful, really, And I talked to her son one day, and he doesn't come to the church now, but I said, John, I said, those friendships that we made at St. George's lasted a lifetime. I says, I'll never forget those days. He was really surprised. I says, I remember going to your father's name day on Floyd Avenue. They lived in East York, and your mother made the best lemon cake. He couldn't believe I remembered. I says, of course. I said, you know, they were happy, happy days. You know, we it was wonderful, you know.
And I know that we've got some pictures of you and
That's my son and my daughter.
yes.
I
Tell
didn't,
us
but-
about your kids. Yeah.
I lost one daughter 5 years ago.
Oh, I'm sorry. Now, Sadie, we've got a lovely picture of some grandchildren here.
Yeah, these are
Can
my
you tell
son's
us?
grandchildren. 2 of them are engaged. Christopher, he's named after my husband, and Elisa, the one on the right here, on my right.
The lovely hair.
Yeah, and Stephanie. So Elisa and Christopher are both engaged, and they're getting married this year, later this year. Yeah, so there'll be 2 weddings coming up. Yeah.
Oh, that'll be great.
Yeah, so
And you've got
that's
the other grandchildren too?
And my daughter has 2 daughters, Maria and Stacy, and they're her 3 children. They're 3 of my great grandchildren.
So you've got great grandchildren.
Yeah, these are 3 of them.
Okay, great.
And the other, like my daughter has 2 daughters. This is Stacy's family, and the other daughter, Maria, has 2 little girls. But I didn't have any pictures
What
of
are
them.
their names?
Their names are, they have fancy names. Mariella and Angelica.
Okay. And
These
the ones that we saw?
these 3
Yeah.
are James, Nathan, and Madeline. And Memilve. They phone me, they come to see me, baba, baba, baba. They really, you know, and I visit them. They're my pride and joy. I really get a lot of joy out of them.
That's
yeah.
wonderful. Did any of your children or grandchildren marry Macedonian?
Not the grandchildren.
But
My
your children?
daughters, my 2 daughters actually married Macedonian men, and my son, he's divorced now, but he was married to a Macedonian girl. Yeah, they did. Yeah, because we were still at the church and at the community. But 2 granddaughters, and both of these 2 that are having weddings, one, they're not Macedonian either. That's the way it is. And
But you continue to preach to them, right?
I preach to them all the time.
Yeah, tell me what you say to them.
Well, I don't know. I like one of them did just moved, you know, and she phoned me last night. Oh, Bob, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. I said, listen, but I talk to them in English. They understand, but it's easier for me. I'll say, now take a break. You're on the phone. Put your feet up. Talk to me, and then go back and open another box. I said, take a break. You know, pace yourself. I said, listen. And I tell them to save their money, and I tell them to. I don't know. I preach all the time.
Good Macedonian advice.
Yeah, yeah. And I say to them, I know, I say to them sometimes on the phone, I know when you get off the phone you're going to do what you want anyway, but someday you're going to say, gee, Baba used to say that. No, I preach to them all the time, but I guess
Yeah.
I shouldn't. But they're all good kids, you know, yeah.
And they're all good advice. It's all good advice
Of
that you want
course,
to.
yeah, I tell them, I say, you know, I only give you good advice. Yeah.
What is it that you'd like them to really remember, Sadie?
Well, you know, they keep some traditions, you know. They don't come to church. They try to come at Easter and that. But the children were baptized. The 5 great-grandchildren were baptized at St. George's Church. That makes me very happy. Now, these 2 weddings coming up, they're not going to be at my church, but I don't want to talk about it because I'm hurt, you know. But anyway. But the grandchildren, yeah, and family, you know, family is so important. That's all I talk about, you know, phone each other. Even if you can't see each other, phone each other, phone. Like the 2 sisters, my daughter's 2 girls, they're so close. I'm so happy when I see them. And the children from one mother to the other, they just hug and kiss both, the auntie too, you know. And the children get along and they get together, and it makes me very happy. You know, now my son's children, they'll be getting married, and I hope they're the same too, yeah. But they come, they phone me, they come and see me, you know. Everybody's busy nowadays. I don't expect too much. Just a phone call once in a while.
Well, you've shared a lot of great memories, Sadie,
Yeah.
and we thank you for taking the time to come and be with us here at Canadian Macedonian
Thank you.
Place.
Thank you for having me.
And for the Canadian Macedonian Historical Society, we're very
Yeah.
grateful that we can use your information in our archives.
Yeah. Now, is it still being on?
Yes.
Oh, no, I was going to say, if there's something you don't want, you can delete it, right?
Okay. Thank you.
Now, what about my father-in-law? Do you want to know anything about him?
Your father-in-law, yes, yes.
I have a lot of information on him, you
I thought
know.
we did, didn't we?
Didn't we?
Well, we did say some of it, yeah. I guess there's not much
At
more.
the beginning, we said like with
Yeah,
the lowest.
you're right, and I brought some articles. Like when he died, they were still at St. Cyril at Trinity. There was 1,000 people at his funeral, and they walked from the church, that St. Cyril and Methody Church, to St. James Cemetery, which was up on Parliament Street. 1,000 people walked in that. He was so well known and well liked, and it was in the English newspaper, you know. He was very, very, very,
Remarkable man.
yeah, he really was, yeah. Gosh, I thought of a few things while I was there, but now I can't remember them, you know. But my father-in-law had all those 4 sisters, you know. We're all related.
They were all.
We're all related. We have a lot of first cousins, you know.
Yes.
The Biddles, the Stavros, like
And when did he die?
1937, May 19th.
And he was only.
41, I think, or 42, yeah. Very young, yeah. And, you know, that's, what can I say? And my mother-in-law, like, I don't know whether I gave you her when she was born and when...
Go ahead.
Have you? Yeah, born November the 20th, 1897. He was born March the 10th, 1895, both in Gabrish. And my mother-in-law was 83 when she died, and as I say, she was a resident here. And but you know, the names were so confusing at that time.
What about the Kizov name? Is that
Which-
Kizov? Did you?
Kizov.
Yeah.
That is the original family name, but very few of them used it. We had one family, Delotolo Kizov, he used it, and in Bulgaria they used Kizov. But my father-in-law's father was Anastas, so he had Lambro Anastasov, O-V-E. So he took his first name. So, and then the Tenekev, he used it here in Canada more than anything. It's even on his tombstone, you know. So anyway,
And your husband's name?
Chris,
Last name.
Lewis. Well,
Lewis,
he
right.
changed it to Lewis. You know,
From Tenekev.
yeah. Well, I don't know whether they went to school as Tenekev or Anastasov. I think they went as Anastasov, yeah. I think at there, yeah. So that's about it, I guess, anyway. But they were a big family. Yeah, my father-in-law had the 3 sisters. What else?
No, go ahead.
And
the 3
he had
sisters.
4 uncles, you know, like all of them. And they didn't all come to Canada, but they all had 4 uncles, you know, Dedo Numo, Dedo Tasso, we used to call them all, you know, a lot of them. And we, because I lived with my mother-in-law, I knew them all.
How long did you live with your mother-in-law?
31 years.
Oh.
I lived with my mother-in-law longer than I did with my mother. I was 21 when I married, so I lived with her 31. So I was closer to my in-laws than I was to my own family. And thank God, I'll tell you, I had 3 sister-in-laws. 2 have passed away. But they're daughters, and they phone me, they visit me, they come to me. They're so close to me, you know, being an aunt, you know, an in-law. And I'm really grateful. Like, I'm very, very happy when the family, you know, keeps in touch and that. That's what I try to preach, is to stay in touch with your family and, you know.
Well, I'm sure your grandchildren and your children really have that message.
Well,
Nice and ingrained in their memory.
yeah, except
yes.
that it's hard in Canada, you know, like, you know, we had the church kept us together, and now that's not happening, so what can I say? Anyway,
But you've got lots of great memories.
oh yeah, I really do, yeah, and I'm very grateful, even though, you know, my husband died in, he was 55, and was 78. Then my mother-in-law died 3 years later. I really felt sorry for her. Then I had a granddaughter who got sick, my son's little girl. She was 1.5 years. She was sick for 1 year, and I was with her every day at the hospital. And now I lost my daughter. So, and I worked a lot. I've been on my own, you know, for 36 years. So I wasn't that active here. I tried to be active at my church, but I couldn't do both. And I actually dropped out of the church for a while too. There, I had too much sorrow there. But I'm actually sorry that, you know, wasn't more active here. But I'll tell you, from our church, I used to hear rumors sometimes that there weren't many women from our church that worked here. But I'll tell you, Vasa Evans was from our church, and Mary Evans, her sister-in-law. I had a cousin, Pada, first cousin, Pada Floral. She was here all the time, and Dolly, and my sister-in-law, and Donna Eli. Like, there were a lot of people from our church. Wasn't as active, you know. I used to come to the bazaars and that, but I wasn't active at all for a few years, you know. And I worked till I was 67, so I wasn't active. And now I had surgery. I haven't been to church since October, and I went Sunday for communion. You know, Lazara, and it was Svetnica. It's also my name day, so I went, and because the priest said to me, Sadie, you don't have to post the whole week, you know, if you can't, because you know you're not well. So I went anyway. I like the church to me. You know, I said I'd do anything for my church, you know, because it's we grew up there.
Right.
And the best years of my life were there. Anyway,
Well, thank
it's
you.
a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure having you and
Yeah, and
hearing
thank
your
Virginia
wonderful
there.
stories.
She kept phoning me, and I wasn't well that one week, and I thought, but it was postponed, and I didn't think I'd be able to come.
Well, we're glad you were here and your
Yeah.
brother was here as well, and it was great to have both of your stories. Thank you very